Before the first civilizations, before the first worlds, before time itself seemed to take its first breath, there was the first star. It ignited in the darkness when the universe was still young, when matter was still uncertain whether it would collapse into oblivion or spread into infinity. Its light bathed the newborn cosmos, its gravity shaped the very structure of existence, and its energy coursed through the fabric of reality like the first heartbeat of creation. It was ancient when galaxies were still clouds of dust, older than the first black holes, older than the very laws that would one day govern the universe. But what if the first star was more than just fire and fusion? What if it was something else? What if it was alive? And worse, what if it was watching? The year was 2987 when a team of astronomers at the Kuiper Observatory detected something impossible, an echo. A signal so old, it should not have existed. At first, they thought it was just cosmic background radiation, the faint afterglow of the Big Bang, something that had been mapped and studied for centuries. But when they examined the waveform closely, they noticed something disturbing. The radiation wasn't uniform. There was a pattern hidden in the noise. A pulse, a rhythm, something artificial. Excitement turned to confusion, and confusion turned to fear. Scientists ran the signal through every known decryption algorithm, every linguistic database, every mathematical model designed to interpret potential alien communication. And then, after months of analysis, the realization struck them like a thunderbolt. It wasn't a message from some distant alien civilization. It wasn't a transmission sent by an ancient race across the stars. No, the truth was far more terrifying. The signal wasn't from a civilization. It wasn't even from a planet. It was coming from a star. A star so old, it predated the Milky Way itself. A star that should have been long dead, burned out, collapsed into a black hole or scattered into space as dust. But it wasn't dead. It was sending a message, one that had been traveling through space for billions of years. And when the astronomers finally translated the message, they realized something even worse. It wasn't a greeting. It wasn't a warning. It was a thought. The first star had been thinking. For eons, it had been silent, watching as galaxies bloomed and withered, as planets formed and shattered, as civilizations flickered into existence and were snuffed out like candles in the wind. It had watched the universe shape itself into something ordered, something structured, something governed by laws that should never have been written. And it hated it. For the first star, existence had once been perfect, a chaos of raw energy, an endless storm of matter and antimatter colliding, a symphony of destruction without form, without meaning. But then the universe cooled. Stars like itself formed. Galaxies spun into place. And worst of all, life emerged. Intelligence crawled out of the muck, built machines, reached for the stars. And the first star wanted it all to end. The astronomers debated for weeks, struggling to understand the implications. Was the first star truly sentient? Was it alive in a way that no human mind could comprehend? And if so, what did it want? Some believed it was simply an ancient observer, a relic of the cosmos bearing witness to the rise and fall of the universe. Others, however, feared something far worse. Then the signal changed. It was no longer a pattern. It was no longer a pulse. It was something else entirely. Instructions. The first star was sending blueprints. Schematics for technology unlike anything humanity had ever seen. Machines that defied physics, engines that could warp space in ways no scientist could understand, structures that seemed to fold dimensions around themselves. Some believed it was a gift, a knowledge beyond imagination, a key to unlocking secrets that could reshape reality itself. But others knew better. What if it wasn't sharing knowledge? What if it was bait? A deep space probe was sent to the star, an autonomous vessel carrying the best sensors, the most advanced AI, a creation of humanity's greatest minds. It traveled for years through the void, drawing closer and closer to the ancient light. And then, as it approached, something changed. The star flickered, not like a dying ember, not like a storm of solar flares. It flickered like a signal, like an eye-opening, like something had finally noticed that it was being watched. The probe transmitted one final image before its signal was lost forever. The image was unlike anything ever seen, a swirling mass of energy, its structure shifting, impossible to define, as though reality itself was bending around it. The first star was not dead. It was waiting. Back at the research station, panic set in. The signal changed again, growing stronger, more urgent, as though it knew it had been discovered. Some of the scientists wanted to shut it down, to block the signal, to erase all evidence that they had ever detected it. Others believed it was too late. The first star had seen them, and it would not forget. Then came the final horror. The signal was no longer transmitting schematics. It was no longer sending patterns. It was no longer sending anything at all. It was listening. The echoes had stopped, and in their place, there was silence. Not just the absence of sound, but something more. A hollow emptiness where the signal had once been. As though the first star had turned its attention somewhere else. Somewhere closer. Despite the warnings, despite the fear, despite the unknown, an expedition was formed. A classified mission. The Eclipse, a starship unlike any before it, equipped with experimental technology reverse-engineered from the first star's blueprints, was launched into the void. It was the greatest gamble humanity had ever taken. They sought answers. They found nothing. No one ever heard from the Eclipse again. Its transmission ceased as it passed the event horizon of known space, where the first star's whispers had called. For decades, the mission was buried. The warning forgotten. Humanity moved on, believing it had dodged a nightmare, believing that silence meant safety. But the echoes had not stopped. Then, on the farthest edge of known space, a new signal was detected. Not a pulse, not a thought, not a message, a voice. It spoke in a language no human should have understood, yet every scientist who heard it knew exactly what it was saying. It was neither a greeting nor a threat. It was something far worse. It was a simple truth. The first star never died. It only sleeps. And now, it is waking.